Previously on Movie Versus. All right, it's time to go out to the movies. Oh my God, there's a pandemic! Oh my God, Kobe! Oh my God, Chadwick! Oh my God, the presidential elections! Murder hornets! No, 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 no! Not the murder hornets! Fire! No, 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 no! You cannot shut down our movie theaters. Ah! Hey guys, welcome, especially those that were here from the beginning. Welcome back to Movie Versus. This is a show I created early 2020 where I take two newly released films and bring them together to see which is the better film. And I had to rely on newer film releases, and I thought I would, but 2020, what a lovely, lovely year. Anywho, so I've been given a lot of thought to bring the show back. I know it's been forever. Let's do a little bit of a recap of what has happened since then, at least in my perspective. Well, movie theaters were shut down, as you already know. Well, for the most part, they're kind of back up. There have been a lot of restrictions here and there, but personally, I haven't personally been able to gain access to a movie theater since the pandemic even started. And I thought I was going to have to rely on newer film releases. And since then, I kind of worked myself in the kitchen, actually. Learned how to make bread and pasta and all that, all sorts of crazy jazz. It was nuts. It really, really was. Oh, and I also transformed my my theatrical cut copy of Batman v Superman into a into a coaster. I wish I was not lying. Here, take a look. There's my coaster of a shitty movie. It's a pretty looking coaster, I'm not gonna lie. Anywho, so why did I decide to come back? Well, a couple months ago, a couple of friends of mine off of Instagram revisited the older episodes, and they're like, "You should do more of this." And I'm like, "I'll give it a second thought. Let's see what happens." And here we are. However, there are going to be some major changes. Like, for instance, you're not going to see my lovely, lovely face for anytime soon. I just don't feel comfortable at the moment. I just really don't. So you're just going to have to hear my lovely, lovely voice. I got to stop saying lovely, 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 don't I? Yeah, I'm going to stop saying lovely, lovely, lovely. All right, that's the last time I say lovely, lovely, lovely. Damn it! So that's one big change. Another big change is instead of relying on newer film releases, it's going to be all kinds of movies. Doesn't have to be new, old. Doesn't have to be just Hollywood. It could be Bollywood. It could be Japanese. It could be anime. It could be stop motion animation. It could be Pixar. Um, it could be Blue Sky Studios. It could be something more credible than Illumination Animation. Who knows? Let's see what'll happen. So yeah, that's the other big change. It can be any kind of movie. It doesn't have to be newer film releases. Um, the other big change is instead of waiting for the end of the episode to find out which movie wins the current episode, you're gonna find out within the following episodes, which will be uploaded within 2 weeks from now. Yeah, every 2 weeks there will be a new episode of Movie Versus going forward, because I need time to both watch both the films, write down the script, and do everything I can to make sure you guys get an amazing episode every 2 weeks. But that's not all. I am going to need your help, however, not just by, sharing the episodes to various friends, family, coworkers, etc. I'm going to need your help on deciding what to see on the show. What movies would you love to to see covered on Movie Versus. It could be any two movies. It could be films that I've already covered versus a film I didn't cover before, or it could be, yeah, it could be just about anything. You decide. You let me know in the comments below, and hopefully I'll be able to get right on it as soon as I can. Right now, there are only 4 episodes that have already been mapped out, um, but afterwards, it's going to be relying on both your comments alone. And it's also going to be your responsibility to let me know which films that I'm currently reviewing. In this very episode, for example, you need to let me know which film did you like the most, Wonder Woman or Wonder Woman 84. Which was the better film? I know there are a variety of opinions on here. I'm pretty certain of it, but I don't want to just take my opinions to an account. I would love to gather yours as well. All right. So you let me know what you would love to see, and you let me know which films do you think is the actual winner of the current episode like this one, and you'll be able to find out the results within 2 weeks. So let's get to it. Let's get started with the first episode of 2021, Wonder Woman versus Wonder Woman 1984. Wonder Woman 2017 was a really, really interesting year. A year prior, we gotten 2 major disappointments. One of which was more disappointing than the other because it was titled Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. How do you screw up that? Batman, Superman. How do you screw that up? And in that film featured Diana herself, Gal Gadot herself, as Wonder Woman. And we can all agree that she was indeed the best part of that movie. Movie so bad that I turned my Blu-ray copy of the theatrical cut into a coaster. See, here you go again. Yeah, I, I'm, I'm really dumb. So at like I wanted more than anything to have a good Wonder Woman movie, but I didn't want to be too excited about it, despite the trailers looking really, really promising. I went with a very cautious mindset, and I guess this is around the time where we were kind of more or less taking comic movies a little too seriously. You know what I mean? You know, but I finally saw it in theaters. I was in the UK when I saw this, believe it or not, with my dad and grandfather. We both went to see it, uh, and it was amazing. It was an amazing film, and yeah, this was the film to ultimately redeem the DC extended universe for me, at least, up until you know Justice League happens. I hope Snyder Cut is good or not. Let's see what happens. Um, so let's get this right off the bat. The visuals are stunning, absolutely stunning. From the scenes of Themyscira to the cold, gray, dark wastelands of World War One. It's a sight to behold. It's amazing. Like the performances are amazing. The chemistry between all characters, Eve especially with Diana and Steve, Chris Pine and Gal Gadot, work amazing with each other. I loved it. I honestly really loved that bit. Those bits. My biggest gripe with the film, however, is definitely the third act. It felt kind of choppy. The twist was pretty predictable, though I do appreciate the reasoning behind the main villain and everything. I thought that was really well thought out, but until they started going to their standard, typical comic book, crazy action fight scenes, I'm like, it kind of defeated the purpose of that twist. Am I right? Like, but anyway, the the scene, however, to basically redeem everything, whether it's from the beginning or the ending, the scene that made this movie what it is today is the No Man's Land sequence. That scene alone, every single time I watch it, whether if it's back then when I first saw it in theaters, or whenever I felt like watching it, or especially for this review, it puts a tear into my eye. I really do love this scene, and it makes this film. Without this scene, I guarantee you that this film would have been fine. It just would be just another average comic book movie. And it's not an average comic book movie because of this scene. And I applaud Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot for pulling all forms of magic in this scene, and I loved it. And I'm sure you did too. So, with that being said, I am easily going to award Wonder Woman 2017. It's an A minus. My only major gripe is, of course, the third act, the final fight, but it's still a really good movie. I still had a real good time watching this film. Where I wish I could say the same about its sequel, Wonder Woman 84, which a lot of people are not happy with. I can understand why, but I can also see what Patty Jenkins was trying to do. I wish she could have just conveyed those ideas a little bit better, in my opinion. But nonetheless, this is a pretty choppy film compared to the first film. Like, unlike the first film, 84's pacing is really bad, and the plot seems to go all over the place. It doesn't know where to focus on, despite the cast being really consistent, and the performances, once again, are really consistent. There was a lot of really good ideas of Diana, like her journey as a character, moving forward from the events of the first film and how she's coped with it. Not very well, if I might add. But and like this is once again, we're all in this mindset that we need to take all kinds of movies, even comic book movies, seriously. And I'm like, do we really need to? Now, granted, Wonder Woman 84 did feel like a Warner Brothers checklist of what to put in the sequel in order to make as much money as possible, which looks like it actually worked because we're getting another Wonder Woman movie later on. Like, their plans for a sequel succeeded. So, who are we to say? Am I right? But that's besides the point. Like, this did feel like that. It felt like we needed a checklist for everything we need to make sure that this movie is as successful as the first film. We need Patty Jenkins back. We need Chris Pine back. We need people love the Mandalorian. People love Pedro Pascal. Get him as Maxwell Lord. Let's do that. People would have loved to see Cheetah for the first time. Let's get Barbara Minerva. Let's get her back here. Let's get her here. People love Hans Zimmer. Let's get Hans Zimmer. Even though this is honestly one of his weaker soundtracks, I'm not gonna lie. The soundtrack of the first film felt triumphant and felt right. Here, it just felt like, let's just put some pretty epic music in the background, and no one's really gonna care. That's kind of a shame, because Hans Zimmer gave us the Dark Knight trilogy, Man of Steel, even BVS to an extent. So what happened? What happened with the soundtrack, man? It just didn't feel right. And why did it? It didn't, like, other than it being like the mall scene at the beginning of the film. Why was this set in '84? Other than the mall scene and Trevor tries out new clothes scene, I I just didn't like it. That honestly wasn't conveyed all that well. However, like this. However, despite the amount of flaws and plot holes and whatnot, does it really all that matter? I really don't think it matters at all anymore because after giving it a lot of thought, right? I kind of figured that this is the kind of film that you should not really take seriously. In fact, comic book movies in general should never be taken seriously. Despite how legendary The Dark Knight is, can we really take its plot seriously knowing that our main character goes out in the middle of the night, dress up as a bat, a man in a bat costume, beating criminals to a bloody pulp with a $1 billion tank? Please tell me you cannot take that shit seriously. Come on. You can't! You can't take it seriously. Nor can you take seriously about a boy who gets bitten by a radioactive spider and he's been granted superpowers. You can't take any of that seriously. Comic books are just fun. They're illogic fun. They always have been. Movies will have plot holes. They will have. Does this film have? Yes. Do they have a lot? Yes. But does it really matter? No. As long as you're having fun, and for the most part, I've given some extra thought, and yeah, I did have a pretty good time watching this movie. Do I think it's great? Does it hold up to the standards of, say, The Dark Knight or Superman the movie? No, it doesn't. But it's still a fun movie. It's still a fun ride. There are flaws, there are problems, especially with this production because obviously this film was one of the many victims of the pandemic, you know. It's still a fun movie. I still have a fun time watching it. I wouldn't mind rewatching it for whether it's for a marathon because it's just a silly little movie. So there you have it. Those are my initial thoughts of Wonder Woman 84. The plot is all over the place. I don't know where to start with that for the fact that she's living in 84, wanting to move on, and in comes this dreamstone in which will cause all sorts of problems, especially for one billionaire tycoon who wants to take over the world. Which they do actually give him a reason for why he wants to take over the world, which is really well handled in my opinion. But that's besides the point. This film's plot is sloppy, it's messy, it's all over the place. But I wouldn't say it's the worst film that I've honestly seen. I think I know which is going to be the winner for this episode, but I'm going to leave that for you to decide. You let me know in the comments below which film do you think is the winner of this episode of Movie Versus, and you'll find out the final results next episode. But with that being said, Wonder Woman 84 gets a B minus for me. There we go. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on both Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84. Like I said, leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments below on what you think of either of these films. Which is the better film? Which did you have more fun with? You know, and what would you like to see in future episodes of this show? I'd be happy to do it for you. And next episode will be on Mulan versus Mulan 2020 edition. I am in for a treat, am I? Yes, I am. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.